Can we expect like every Friday
Yeah,
for the rest of the
every
year?
Friday. For the rest of the year, every Friday, yeah.
Now I do what I want, understand? Now I do what I want.
So today we have WONDR and the
What's
Tea
going
Talk.
on?
Thank you for coming and talking to us.
Thanks for
For-
having me.
For those who have been rocking with the kid is me. For a while, we actually first met WONDR 2 years ago in 2018 at the Summer Days Festival. For people who maybe missed that or people who want to catch up now, we're back 2 years later and giving them a little update. So before we get into all of that, do you just want to tell us who is WONDR? Just give us a little spiel.
Sure. Well, I'm a hip hop slash like contemporary R&B artist out of North Carolina. Grew up in Cary, Raleigh area, so I spent probably like 13, 14 years there. I've been doing music dang near my whole life. Taking it seriously though for the past 2.5 years. But yeah, I'm an artist and I'm just out here trying to figure out my way through and trying to compete in this crazy industry and all the things that are happening and the changes that are happening. But I love it. Yeah.
So what inspired you to get into music? Are there big inspirations that you had? I know before in one of our past interviews you said Tupac.
Yeah.
Any other inspirations or anything that really just made you be like, this is definitely what I want to do, I want to pursue?
It's not just musicians, I think, that are my main inspirations. I think family has a big thing to do with it. Where my family came from to where they are now, I think is one of the biggest inspirations I have in my career and when I'm pursuing and what I plan on doing. So they're a big part of it. But if we're gonna go to music, yeah, Tupac, obviously, like I said before, he was a big impact for me just because in high school, I like really dove into his music and I felt like I had a relation to Tupac in some way, just because of how, he had so much aggression and power in his music. I think it was something I needed to express and definitely inspired me to, get into hip hop. But I've been really inspired by, I think, a lot of the independent artist stories right now. The guys who are kind of doing it on their own, like Chance the Rapper and Russ. Those guys really are kind of setting new models and ways for the industry, and I think that's like a path I really want to take and try exploring. So they're definitely having a big impact on the music that I'm making right now and the business that I'm running.
Love that. Okay, business that you're running, we hear you. So you recently dropped 9 projects.
Yeah.
Let's just get into that because y'all, 9 projects. First of all, I feel like this is such a time that it's very hard for a lot of creatives to stay creative. So what has this really been like, you dropping all of this new music, which is great. I have been loving the releases. But also just what is that process and how have you kept up, keeping the creative juices flowing? Like,
yeah, that's a good question because it is tough trying to find inspiration, I guess. And I think fortunate for me, the reason why I was like able to become, I guess, a little bit more creative in a time where like it was hard to really find it was I started getting into producing and engineering my stuff. And I think it's really allowed me to, work the left side of my brain more, I think. And it's allowed me to write things I never would have wrote. It's allowed me to just do different melodies, different flows I never would have done before. I think it's just more unique to who I am because I'm doing the entire thing. So I think the music that I'm putting out right now is the most me my music has probably ever been.
I love that. I actually, I like that you said that because I was going to ask you about the producing and the beat making that you've been doing. But in general, with the new releases, I do feel like I have heard different sounds that you've been trying, and I've been loving it. I was like,
thank you.
I love the flavor, So it's just kind of like, with that whole process of getting more into producing and beat making on your side, how did you navigate into that?
Yeah, it's the whole production and engineering process. I think it's been a long time coming for me. I grew up in rock bands. Like I play guitar, drums, piano, whatever I could kind of get my hands on. When I was younger, I played it and tried to play it at least, even if it wasn't that good. But it was the least experience that I had building up until now. And I always, played around with making beats. Obviously, when I first started doing music, like a lot of other artists, probably they probably messed around in GarageBand or whatever it is, Fruity Loops, to just try and make their own beats. Even though it might not be the greatest thing at the time, which when I was making it definitely was not. But it was like you're getting that taste. You got to start somewhere, exactly. And it was like getting that taste for it, and I ended up meeting a lot of friends and who were producers who I learned a ton from, who I just kind of picked up things here and there when we were in the studio. And I really like to be hands-on with like my process all the time. And I always kind of challenged myself to learn more about what was going on, especially on the producer's end, because I like my beats certain ways. I think my vocals fit in certain pockets. And so I wanted to be able to be like, hey, can we move this here? Can we move that there? And I think that was like another step in the process. And then obviously I think YouTube has been one of the biggest helps for me in terms of learning how to produce and engineer, because I learned everything about mixing my vocals before now on YouTube. And then, so I had kind of like a base of how to do it. And then I had some friends who are engineers show me how to do it. So it's like, it really is just a mix of like using your resources in terms of technology, and then using your resources in terms of friends, and really taking advantage of that, because a lot of people are willing to help you out no matter what. And you can't YouTube every specific question that you have, because with music and sound, it's a lot harder. Sometimes you have to be there and hear it to be able to show somebody like, hey, this is specifically what I'm talking about. You can't just like Google weird noise I hear in my headphones. Like, something else completely random will pop up.
So with you and your music, is there a specific song of yours that is like your favorite? Just something that really resonates with you and you're just like, this is the one that is just me written all over it?
That's a good question. I wish I thought about that more, just because I feel like I've made so much music recently, and I like fall in love with every record that I put out. I really like Call Me Up. That was my most recent song I put out. I think it resonates with me a lot because it was an experience I had a whole lot when I was growing up, especially in a lot of relationships, because the song is essentially just about being in relationships with these girls who would end up breaking up with me and then realizing what they had lost and trying to come back. And at that point that they try to come back, I'd already be like left all those feelings out the door. Like it'd be like a month of just, I hate this. But then it'd be like, I slowly got over it. And then when I got over it, obviously when you're not like paying attention to them as much, that's when they're going to want to come back. And that's how it is. And I don't know, that was a big influence for me. And I loved writing about it. And it's a cool beat. I really like the tempo of the beat. And it was something different too, so.
Okay, y'all go stream it. You heard him. That's his favorite. That is the one. That's WONDR. So in this time, dealing with COVID and everything, where live shows are not as much of a reality as they were before, because I mean that's how I met you. Like being at a live show at a festival, and I know that's how people connect with other people, and especially when it comes to your fan base, that's a huge way to connect. So how have you been maintaining those interactions with people who support you, look for your music, and really want to stay in tune with what it is that you're doing?
One of the main reasons I started doing more releases, just to keep fans engaged and interested. And I think a lot of it is just keeping up with content. I mean, I've been posting way more than I have before, but I also have more stuff to post about and stuff to share. That's been huge. Always keeping up in the comments on everything, like responding to everybody, whether it's just an emoji or it's like a full response. Trying to do like certain specials and giveaways for merch and all that. Just trying to keep just trying to bring new things to the table, in terms of marketing and the music. And I think that's just a way to stay engaged with your fans, especially when you're putting out new merch and stuff. I think you kind of give them an opportunity to be more a part of the brand.
Okay, an artist for the people. Yes.
Yeah.
Love interaction. So going outside of the music for a second, you have started your own Instagram TV series called The Conversation.
Mhm.
You started this series to have these conversations that are a little bit tougher to have with people, especially other Black individuals that are experiencing a lot of these issues involving racism. So you ask questions on both sides that are maybe a little bit awkward to have to answer and talk about, but it's stuff that needs to be put on the table. How has this for you provided maybe a better understanding? Like, what have you gotten from these conversations? What do you believe other people have gotten from these conversations as well?
I think a big thing is you get to see like a whole other side of a friendship that you had, and you never really thought about that side of it in the past, because I just think you're always focused on the bright and happy part of your relationship that you have with this person. Like, you always enjoy being in their presence. Like, there was no real tension ever there because you weren't thinking about the stuff that's going on right now. I've grown a closer understanding, as to who they are and what they're going through every single day. And the way I present myself and what I'm doing is also, setting examples for a lot of people around me, especially the younger generation, because, it's hard out there because everyone's getting their information from social media instead of really checking news sources and stuff, and really like kind of toxic environment in a way, just because there's so much left and right happening where there's no like middle ground. So for me, it's kind of like setting, that middle ground where people who don't want to get in fights and argue on either side, just kind of want to learn and understand and get to figure out more. Like, that's what I'm trying to do, is just learn. And I think that these videos kind of give people the chance to do that. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback from friends and family who've watched them, and fans, and they've really enjoyed, getting the perspective of people and different industries and different walks of life, and hearing like, specific aspects of their stories that they just never would have thought could ever happen to anybody, and how nonchalant it almost seems. So that's been a good thing to be able to share with them. And I think it's opened up a lot of people to this movement as well. Yeah, just a big learning moment right now, but I'm doing the best I can.
No, it's appreciated. I think that's like the biggest thing people can do is just continue to learn. Even myself, I still learn, even though these are things that I deal with, on a daily basis. Is there anything else you want to share with us specifically? We're all ears.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of new music coming out, and we got some merch.
Look, we were gonna
for
pub
sale.
that. We were gonna pub that. Just so y'all know, WONDR got y'all with the cruise. What?
Yes.
Congrats to you for everything that you're doing. Honestly, it's all so good. I'm really loving hearing you come more into your own with the way that you've been producing and doing your own beats for your music. I'm telling you, I could hear the sound like when I was listening to the songs. I was like, oh, this is a different type of vibe, but I like this,
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this interview too.
Oh, of course, T. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm glad we can do it where you can get some clean audio from me.
Clean audio. Y'all, you will see the audio is not great on our original interview, but you know what that is? It's growth. It's
the beauty of it.
We're just going to drop it. They'll see how far we've come.
Yes, love it.